Namaste, Shubhasayam. Very good evening. I request you all to settle down quickly. We'll begin the program here. May I invite Srimati Arundhati Vasishtha to render the invocation song to seek the blessings of the divine. Please, Arundhati Vasishtha ji.
गाये गणपति जगवंदन गाये गणपति जगवंदन शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन गाये सिद्धि सदन गजवदन विनायका सिद्धि सदन गजवदन विनायक कृपा सिंधु सुंदरा सबदायक मोदक प्रिय मुद मंगलदाता मोदक प्रिय मुद मंगलदाता विद्यावारिधि बुद्धि प्रदाता विद्यावारिधि बुद्धि प्रदाता बुद्धि प्रदाता बुद्धि प्रदाता गाये गणपति जगवंदन शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन गाये मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोरे मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोरे बसई राम सिया मानस मोरे बसई राम सिया मानस मोरे जगवंदन शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन गाये 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 गणपति
स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Very good evening, everyone. It's a great honor to welcome you all to this art gallery and the set of Sabha Karikramas, the stage events, titled Pauraniki. the art gallery is by Sri Halley Goswami, who has come all the way from Calcutta. And all of us just saw the inauguration of the gallery and the beautiful paintings, the amazing, engrossing paintings that are on display there. First of all, on behalf of the Param Foundation, the Mythic Society, and the Indian Institute of World Culture, the three organizations which have come together to organize this Pauraniki, this set of events, the art gallery and the stage events here this entire week. I extend a heartfelt gratitude and a heartfelt welcome to Sri Halley Goswami, who has come all the way from Kolkata. And this is his first gallery exhibit. And it's a great honor for Bangalore to be hosting it. And this idea was initiated by none other than Šatāvadhānī Dr. R. Ganesh, Padma Bhushan awardee, who is right here with us. I would like to welcome the dignitaries who have joined us here today. Dr. T.S. Satyavathi, an extraordinary Vidushi, one of the senior most musicologists who has had 6 decades of continuous presence on the arena as a stalwart singer. So, Dr. T.S. Satyavathi, heartfelt gratitude for your presence and a warm welcome to you, madam. Of course, to our dear Šatāvadhānī Dr. R. Ganesh for his presence here. He has been a pillar of support to all our activities, for all our endeavors. A word from him and all the organizations come together to manifest them. So it's very heartening that all these people have come together to witness the art gallery. Sri Chandranath Acharya is with us, and his renown is around the world. His lines and colors have been marveled by people around the world of different genres of paintings. Sri R.G. Singh, the founder and the president of the Ramson's Kala Pratishtana, they have been patrons of arts and artists, games, dolls, and whatnot. They have been cultural representatives of Karnataka and pan-Indian culture, and they are stationed in Mysore. Our gratitude for your presence and a warm welcome to you, sir. Sri S. Ravi, the Honorary Secretary of the Mythic Society. He has been a great pillar of support as well, and the event has been co-organized by the Mythic Society. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to Sri Srinivas Gupta, who is here with us, the chairperson of the Param Foundation. A warm welcome to you, sir. The audience is filled with stalwart artists, musicians, dancers, scholars. I extend a warm welcome to all of them. We have the renowned artist who is known by his pen name, or if I may say, the brush name of Keshav. His name is Venkat Raghavan. He is here from Chennai. He has come all the way to witness the gallery and the programs here. A warm welcome to you, sir. And the renowned dance duo, SNA awardees, Srimati Nirupama and Sri Rajendra, are here with us today. Hearty welcome to you. For my gratitude for your presence. And Sri Sanjay Chapolkar, who is instrumental to putting the gallery together, the in charge of the gallery, a great artist himself. Warm welcome to you, sir. Praveen D. Rao, who has been supporting in every activities that we undertake, and he has helped in numerous ways, innumerable ways, if I may say, to put together the gallery and in the activities that you will soon see here. A great international artist, a musician, a music director himself. Warm welcome to you, sir. And Sri Raghavendra Hegde, a wonderful artist again. So you're most welcome, sir. Yeah. And Arkali Venkatesh of the Indian Institute of World Culture. And Rahul, who is known by his pen name or brush name, Sripada Nupura. He was the one who has done all those beautiful floral decorations there. So a warm welcome to you, Rahul ji. And there are many other scholars here in the audience. Sandeep Balkrishna is here. Sri Hari Ravikumar is here. Heartfelt gratitude to your presence and a warm welcome to you. Dr. Shobha Shashikumar just joined us, and Bangalore knows her very well. It's an honor to have you here in the assembly, madam. Yeah, thanks a lot for coming. Thanks to all the Sahridayas, and a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined here. So, I personally got to know, I met Sri Halley Goswami through my dear friend Sri Sagar Mehta, who got to know Halley Goswami through Facebook. So Sagar has been the backbone, and he has been instrumental to bringing Halley from Kolkata here. So it's Sagar's enthusiasm and Šatāvadhānī Dr. R. Ganesh's initiation, which has made this entire series of events possible, and the very first art display of Sri Halley Goswami possible. Without much ado, I would like to invite Dr. T.S. Satyavathi to deliver the inaugural address.
योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. Sarvarigu Namaskara. My very humble pranams to all the dignitaries, each and every respected member of this august assembly at the outset, and a very, very special warm welcome to the celebrated artist, erudite scholar, eloquent speaker, Sri Halley Goswami, and our own Šatāvadhānī R. Ganesh, who sees no parallel, and all other members, dignitaries, and respected members of Param Foundation and Mythic Society, on behalf of our own Indian Institute of World Culture, which has held aloft the flag of our art and culture for over 80 years. I'm hopeful of getting some answers to my own intriguing questions which are rising in me even now, in coming 2 days, including today, these 3 days, because we have such brilliant speakers and wonderful performers, renowned performers, who perhaps will show the right path to follow in future. Because I have some questions, I thought this is the right platform for me to express my concern over certain developments in the recent decades. Say about 3 decades, starting from this century, perhaps. We all know how technology is taking over, with the AI also. It's not alarming, but alerting. Kalidasa says, Puranamityeva nasadu sarvam. We all know how the Pauraniki Samskriti, I mean the ancient Sanskriti of our country, has ignited our imagination, has kindled our creativity. With all that, we do agree with Kalidasa when he says, Puranamityeva nasadu sarvam. Anything that is, is not acceptable just because it is old. Yes, agreed. But today what has happened? Puranamityeva asadhu sarvam. So the very reason why something is not acceptable is because it is ancient or it is old. So this is one question that is bothering me a lot. And our youngsters are being drawn towards fashion, not being driven by passion. So this is another thing of concern. We all need to reflect, we all need to ponder, we all need to join, put our hands together to see something is done to this. Because we should remember the other part of what Kalidasa says. Puranamityeva na sadhu sarvam na chapi kavyam, he says, anything for that matter, navamityavadyam, santah parikshyanyatarad bhajante, mudha parapratyaya neya buddhihi. So how to make them santaha, the present generation? That viveka, that is the toughest part of today's life perhaps. And I have jotted down some points because age is catching up. I may forget. Later on, I should not regret Vaktavyam hi anuktam anutapam janayati. I should say whatever I have to say. But I'll be very, very brief because I don't want to be a barrier between you, not just you, us, and the beautiful presentation of Sri Halley Goswami. I said our present generation, is it going astray or is it following the path of progress is a question, which is very tough to answer, very difficult to answer. Till very recently, we considered our fine arts as divine, quotes. Now, these days, it has become an industry. We talk more about money than about matters concerning the preservation and propagation of the pristine purity of our art. We talk very less about it. We are not bothered. We are so self-centered and we think of our own survival. I have interviewed several or interacted with several artists of different generations who say, Madam, we have to survive first to say something. We have to survive first. The question of survival, that means we have to have a standing that can be possible only through publicity. Publicity can happen not without money. So money is all in all. M, the power M, is very, very important to everybody. I am not against anybody making money if art be their profession. But what about the standards? Worried only about the standards. If anything can be called art, or Indian art, or fine arts, the very purpose is defeated. In our eagerness to have instantaneous santrupti or santushti, santosha, are we sacrificing the atyantika, that is the long-term benefits? Are we sacrificing the long-term benefits just because we are interested in the instantaneous, that is tatkalika tripti? So there is one more question that is bothering me. But what is right and what is wrong, we are not here to sit on judgment. We only have to think. So while talking about the youngsters, very recently I came across an instance wherein yes, I wanted that name, Lincoln Parks. His event, rock event, it drew a crowd of over 40,000 who paid exorbitant price for the tickets. What happens to our classical arts? Isn't it, are they not losing ground? You see any classical art function or program featuring classical arts, you have very few people, handful of people. So what does that mean? Even if there be hundreds of such programs, what I have experienced is it is the same set of people who are attending all the programs. Same set of people. You go there, they are there. Yesterday also they were there. So how to increase the viewership or listenership or whatever? So these are certain points I wanted to share with you. Very, very sorry if I have bothered you, because I should be thankful to you for giving me a very, very patient hearing. And I am grateful to Sri Arjun Bharadwaj for inviting me to, I don't call it an inaugural address, such big names do not suit me. It is just a very, very humble appeal to all of you. And I am sure, it's not just being pessimistic. To be optimistic is not that we should be complacent about what is happening around us. This is it. It is not an alarm, as I said, it is a clarion call for us to act and do something. Do something. It's my very sincere concern. I'm sure in the next 2 days, including today, these 3 days, with the guiding light of people like Šatāvadhānī or Ganesh, our future path will be brighter. This is my very, very sincere and I am sure this will happen. Because people who are gathered here for these 3 days are not, we are a minority, no doubt about it. But as you all know, minority is very powerful in our country. So with these words, let me conclude this part of address. And now I have a very, very pleasant job to perform, before which I would like to share a very sweet memory of mine, which is etched in my memory, everlasting, indelible. You might have heard the name of Dr. T.S. Krishnamurti, a very great Sanskrit scholar who worked with Vidyavardhaka Sangha also for several years. A very great scholar. Once I remember what he said, I shall quote. Once Lord Brahma, the creator, had just in his closed fist a very few precious gems, which he wanted to give to somebody who is very deserving. Somebody in the sense, some country, some people who really deserve it. So every country, people of every country, they were vying with each other to reach out to that. As they made their sincere efforts to do it, Brahma went on raising his hand. After some time, he couldn't. He had to relent. And finally, he thought, it's not possible for me to hold on to this any longer. So he just threw it like this. And one precious gem got dropped in our land, Bharata, and that is Šatāvadhānī, Dr. R. Ganesh. This is what he said. These are not my words. So no more should I be saying about what he is. Let us stop at this. But we are honoring ourselves by offering our very, very humble honor to him. On behalf of Indian Institute of World Culture, I request all the EC members to come over on stage to offer our token of not appreciation, but profound respect and great affection. One and only Šatāvadhānī, Dr. R. Ganesh. Please, sir. Only because I have gray hair, more gray hair.
I have nothing.
The caricature prepared by Sri Goswami.
ಈಗ 3 ವಾರದಿಂದ ಅನೇಕ ಬಾರಿ ಅನೇಕ ವೇದಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿರುವ ಮಾತಾದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಶತಾವಧಾನಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಪದ್ಮಭೂಷಣ ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಭೂಷಣ ಬಂದ ಹಾಗೆ ಆಗಿದೆ. ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಅವರ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ದ ವೆರಿ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಕಾಂಟೆಂಪರರಿ ಟು ಹಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಬ್ಲೆಸ್ಸಿಂಗ್. ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸುಕೃತ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ರದ್ದು ಕೂಡ. ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್, ಫಾರ್ ಮೆನಿ ಆಫ್ ಅಸ್, life would have been directionless without Šatāvadhānī, Dr. R. Ganesh. It would have been devoid of Ananda, the very word that he has coined, Ananda Runa. ಆ ಆನಂದ ಋಣ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯೂ ನಮಗೆ ತೀರಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯವಿಲ್ಲ. ಬರೀ ನಾವು ಕಣ್ಣೀರಿನ ಆನಂದ ಬಾಷ್ಪ, ಕೃತಜ್ಞತಾ ಬಾಷ್ಪವನ್ನು ಸುರಿಸ್ಬೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನೇನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. It was a very great pleasure to hear from the great musicologist and Sanskrit scholar, Dr. T.S. Satyavathi. She used the word Viveka, and that's exactly what Sri Halley Goswami keeps on mentioning again and again. Viveka and Vichara. These two are extremely important for any artist. Creation of beauty is a responsibility which comes with deep introspection, immense study, creative talent, and skill development. Like Dr. Ganesh keeps saying, for the artistic beauty to be created, pratibha, vyutpatti, and abhyasa, all the three have to come together, and Sri Halley Goswami is a very unique representation of the conglomeration of all the three qualities in their best form. Many of you might be wondering, what is the significance of the name Halley? I've mentioned it in the previous sabhas as well. He was born in the year in which the Halley's comet was spotted. And just as the sighting of the comet is unique and rare, so he is to find a talent like Halley Goswami. He incidentally belongs to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lineage. So all of us have seen the beautiful set of paintings here, and the paintings have spoken to themselves. I mean, they have spoken by themselves. They have introduced the artist very well. These mere words of mine will do no justice to what is already on display there. Without much ado, we will have a very special immersive experience. The conception of this was by our young friend and artist Sagar Mehta. He gave the idea, and immediately Praveen D. Rao jumped into action. It was so exciting that it's a painting on one of the Shakti Pitas called Yogadhya, one of the 51 Shakti Pitas, a place called Yogadhya. There is a painting by Halley Goswami connected to that Shakti Pita. And he also has a very beautiful writing skill, both in the English language and in the Bengali language. The Bengali language is so richly classical that all of us Kannadigas can easily relate to it because of the abundance of Sanskrit there, because of the Samskrita bhuishtata of the language itself. So there is a poet in him, there is an artist in him. So both the text and the painting that we are going to see now is by Halley Goswami. And the immersive experience has been jointly created by Sri Praveen D. Rao and Sri Vinod Gowda. It has come out really in a very interesting manner. So we'll spend a few minutes watching that. Before we go in there, I would also like to mention the presence of Dr. Aarti VB here in the audience, a very good Sanskrit scholar, a musician as well. Sri Sridhar Chittiyala, who has been patron of many activities of the Shungeri Mutt, and our Vidwan Shashikiran BN is also here, and our dear friend Kashyap Naik is here. So the entire assembly, the entire gathering is full of very nice Sahrudiyas, very good Kunoshiers, honest Kunoshiers and learned scholars. I extend my warm welcome to all of them. Now we'll have this about 10 minutes of this immersive experience, and then we'll move on to Sri Halley Goswami's presentation.
The night is still and chilly. It appears as if the world has been put to sleep under the shroud of mysterious darkness. The low-lying mists are spilling out of the bamboo groves and marshes and are now quietly spreading their haze around the village, tying it down in chains of secrecy. The loudspeaker sounds that came floating down from an unknown, faraway village have now fallen silent. That occasional murmur of voices that could be heard from behind the closed doors, that clamor of utensils in the kitchen, the crackle of fire from the oven, or the wails of the newborn have now fallen silent. It seems that even the crickets have forgotten to chirp their night lullabies. The lone mother now sits, anxiously trying to put her baby to sleep. The grandmother is busy in her bed chanting with her Akshamala. They know that the people of Ksheeragram are not supposed to step out of their homes tonight. Only the blood-curdling screams of the barn owl, rejoicing in its hunt, occasionally pierce the eerie silence that has engulfed this little village and startles the anxious residents. But there is yet another sound that could be heard at a distance. It is the deep, grave beats of dark drums playing from the temple in the village center. The rumblings of this powerful drum can now be heard echoing across the tiny village like the muffled roars of dark monsoon clouds on their way to vanquish the demon of summer. The waters of the lake at the other end of the village are unusually still today. Who can say what unknown secrets and forgotten legends those black, mysterious waters have held within their belly for centuries? The snakes that live in the groves of lotus stalks are nowhere to be seen today. At midnight, a slight movement was noticed in the dark waters. Gradually, the simmer of water changed into a tumultuous whirlpool. At that moment, the jackals howled in unison from the nearby thickets, as if they want to greet the advent of someone. But in the darkness, nothing could be seen. Eventually, a dark, human-like form could be seen emerging from the raging waters. The form was alive and moving, its head adorned with great coils of dreadlocks, which now lie untied and spreading along her back, reaching out to kiss the earth. The anklets on her feet testify her to be a lady. She began walking along the village path, alone. The stray dogs saw her but did not object. Rather, they followed in her footsteps as if they knew her for a long time. Her anklets began to sound gently, but not everyone could hear it. Those few who could shuddered in fear and devotion and closed their eyes in prayer. At the center of Ksheeragram, there lies a raised area like the back of a kurma, over which sits the great temple. It is from here that the sounds of the dark could be heard. Now, a frail form of a dhaki could be seen playing on his drums, but with his eyes tied. The temple is closed and the doors are bolted. The lady came and stood there. Then there came a strange gust of wind, putting all the trees around in motion. The leaves rustled, the branches groaned, and everything was infused with life. The jackals began to howl in rhythm with the beats of the dhak. The old dhaki could sense all of this happening. He understood that the great time had finally come. She has arrived. With bated breath and throat choked with devotion, he raised the pitch of his playing. It seemed that the desolate place was not so desolate anymore. It felt as if many people had gathered there right at that moment. They are all women, some of them smeared in ashes, some with jata on heads, some naked, some wearing animal skins, some tranquil and benign, some others horrid and angry. First came a few, then they came in hundreds, and at the end, millions and millions of such divine beings arrived to celebrate. The old dhaki knew that dakinis, yoginis, vidyadharis, and the celestial beings had arrived. He bowed to them in his mind. The lady began her dance. Her mighty jata began to whirl around, cutting through the air with lashing sounds. From time to time, she broke into peals of laughter and roared. The millions of dakinis began to dance around her in circles. A million other yoginis began to shout her glories. It was as if Devi herself was the center of the lotus and all others the petals. It was as if the time of Mahapralaya had arrived. The old dhaki could see nothing, but through his experience, he could sense everything. When the first light of daybreak dawned on the eastern horizon, the dhaki realized that nature was silent and still once more. The dance of life that had been happening all around him is now gone. Nature is back once again with its cricket chirps and dissipating darkness. The dhaki removed his blindfold and saw that the eastern sky was clearer. It is Brahma Muhurta. He came to the banks of the holy lake and stared into its dark waters. He bowed down in reverence at the bank. Devi has gone back to her resting place underneath the waters with her entourage of dakinis, yoginis, and vidyadharis. Her leela has been played out in this tiny village every year since time immemorial. The old man felt a sense of sadness to think how he has been playing the dhak for so many years and yet never been blessed with the darshana of Devi. With a deep sigh, he left the banks of the lake and made his way back to his home. but he failed to notice on the banks of the lake, upon the earth, soaked with fresh dew, a pair of footprints lay, as beautiful as a lotus, as perfect as this universe, the footprints which are the refuge of all the gods.
It is famously said, Prayogatva Manapanne Kavye Nasvada Sambhavaha by Bhattatauta, the teacher of Abhinavagupta. Prayogatva Manapanne Chitre Nasvada Sambhavaha, one can also say. So Natyayamanato or dramatic element is something which is extremely essential in any work of art. And that has been captured beautifully in a static form by Halley Goswami in this painting. And that in the audio-visual dimension, how it would manifest, the auditory imagination was given by Praveen D. Rao and the visual imagination by Sri Vinod Gowda. And I think most people here in the audience recognize the voice. Who gave the voiceover? Hari Ravikumar. That was his voice. One early morning, he manifested there. He came there and he recorded the voice. In the writing, the poetic words that Halley has written, the darky couldn't see with his visual eye, but through his mind's eye, he could see the Devi. I think the darky represents Halley himself. He has realized the Devi through his mind's eye and has given a visual representation to us through our physical eyes so that we can see through our 2 or 4 eyes, whatever we possess. Yeah, thanks to you, Halley, and thanks to the Param Foundation and Sri Praveen D. Rao for taking this initiative to make this brilliant presentation. So this is going to be played in a loop in the gallery starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. There is one room dedicated to this Yogadhya experience itself. Many of the Western museums and art galleries have such immersive experiences based on paintings and sculptures, etc. This is maybe one of the first of its kinds that has been done for an Indian artist. Yeah, thanks to the entire initiative. So now, without much ado, let me briefly speak about Sri Halley Goswami. He is an advocate by training, but is not a practicing advocate. So whatever is the formal education that you get, that may not always be your career, or that may not always be the passion. So there are many towering examples for that here in the audience. There are many such people. And I was mentioning day before yesterday, even if you drop out of engineering, you can still get a Padma Bhushan. So that has been very, very well proved. Dr. D.V. Gundappa failed 10th standard, but now his whatever poems he has written, they have become the syllabus of 10th standard and MA and much more, much beyond that. It's a syllabus for life almost. Anyway, so Sri Halley Goswami was trained as an advocate, but then he's a self-taught artist. See, what's very interesting is, even day before yesterday in the Mythic Society I was mentioning, for 600 years Bengal has not had a Sanatanic rule. There has been Islamic invasion, there has been European invasion, and now you know who are the invaders right there in the Bengal land. And large part of it has been partitioned and gone away as East Pakistan or Bangladesh today. Even with time and with space, there has not been any Sanatanic Raja or Sanatanic rule at the top level. But even in such a barren land, in such times of turmoil and in such untoward circumstances, an artist like Halley can emerge due to passion and due to perseverance. We in South India are truly blessed it's a more fertile land here, fertile land for the Sanatanic ecosystem, for arts, literature, philosophy to grow, thanks to Swami Vidyaranya, who was the visionary behind the foundation of the Vijayanagar Empire. So coming from the Bengal region, where even today, just day before yesterday, Halley was mentioning in his Mythic Society lecture, such a lecture that he gave about the importance of Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, how it held the Sanatanic roots and how it resisted the invaders. One cannot imagine giving that lecture anywhere in Bengal. That is the sad state of affairs today. Here, Karnataka, Bangalore, we still have a slightly more comfortable atmosphere for such artistic activities and such scholastic or scholarly endeavors and discussions. So he has reconstructed many lost techniques of paintings, say the Pala art, the Patachitra, and also what Nandalal Bose and even before him, Avanindranath Tagore made us the wash technique. So he is versatile in his grammar. That is the technique, and he's versatile. His paintings show his versatility in content. So there are numerous rasas that get evoked through his paintings, and he's well-read in history, Indian Puranas, and the epics, and also is initiated in the Ramakrishna Parampara, and a great devotee of the Divyatraya, the Holy Trinity. He conducts classes on the Kathamrita. He conducts classes on painting, the skill development as well. So, without much ado, I hand over the stage to Sri Halley Goswami to do his presentation about his journey into art. Yeah, so how he's a born artist, he is born talented, but then how he imbibed these skills and what was the research that went into making such beautiful works of art. Before Halley's presentation, may I request Praveen sir to honor the dignitaries who are present here, the guests of honor, Dr. T.S. Satyavathi. Please, yeah. Yeah, please come over to the dais. Yes. Yeah, you may please be there. Dr. R. Ganesh. This is something else. This also has the booklet connected with the gallery where about 18 paintings are presented, and also the writings of Halley are connected with the paintings, the thought and the research that has gone behind it. They are available outside as well at the bookstall. Sri Chandranath Acharya. Sri R.G. Singh. Thanks for coming all the way from Mysore, sir. Sri Ravi S., the Honorary Secretary of the Mythic Society. Sri Srinivas Gupta, the Chairperson of Param Foundation. We are also honored by the presence of Sri M.S. Murthy here in the audience. A warm welcome to you, sir. We'll move on to Halley's presentation.
A very warm welcome to everybody. Sorry, I am a little tensed out. Heartfelt thanks to everybody for having me, Bangalore, and most people here did not know me, I think, even a month back. So, so to get this kind of love without knowing is a huge thing, and especially at times when the sad reality of our world is that our works do not speak for ourselves, our branding does. So for a person who does not have a brand and is actually nobody, to give this kind of response, this kind of love is a huge thing. I'm absolutely humbled. I am speechless for this. So to Dr. Šatāvadhānī Ganesh for standing by and making this happen. To Mythic Society, to Indian Institute of World Culture and Param Foundation. So with this, I'll just begin my very short, I'll try to keep it very short. So what you just saw here, before I go into my journey, is actually there is a temple, one of the 51 Sati Pithas. But when you speak of temple in Bengal or anywhere in North India, you have to cleanse yourself of the concept of grand temples you see in South. So you have to go with a complete open mind, because everything has been decimated by successive eras of invasions and all that. But if you go with the inquisitiveness of a historian, then you have lots to see. For example, this temple stands on the middle of a mound. And as you know, Bengal is a completely plain land, unlike Bangalore. So when you have a mound, it inevitably means there is an archaeological remain inside. The deity, which is the ancient 1,000-year-old deity, it is immersed in the waters, which is almost 1 kilometer away from the temple. The Nitya Puja for all year round goes on in this empty temple. And the deity remains immersed in the water. She is brought out only once in a year. And for the darshan of everybody, for one day she is in the temple for everybody to do the puja and all. She's also taken out 4 or 5 days otherwise, but that is taken out 12 o'clock in midnight. Secretively, she's not brought to the temple, just taken out of the water, put on the banks, a puja done without even a handbell, no ghanta. And then she's slid back into the waters. So the very act, which is now passed off as tradition, you can very well understand how this tradition must have begun. So there are, Bengal and North India is homeland to these kind of coded things. You have to get the eyes to discover what's going on. So when I was lucky that there is no handbell, what kind of puja happens without even a handbell? So if you ask a villager today, he would say, no, that's what it has been. They don't know any further, but a historian knows. So anyways, coming back. So my journey of art is not very significant because I am not significant. I would rather say the journey of what it takes to be an Indian artist. That is more valuable. So I will twist this in this way, because I also find some young generation guys coming up, boys coming up, girls are coming up and saying, sir, how do I be an Indian? What it takes to be an Indian artist? So through my journey, I will try to say that. Can we have the next slide? So this is one of my early paintings of Durga. So in Bengal, we have a tradition of sending Vijaya wishes to elders, and in those were the days of postcards in the 90s. So my father used to encourage me to paint these postcards. So the first thing that has to come is definitely from the society, from the parents and the schooling. This is most important. So just by encouraging me to paint Durga and do this traditions, maintain these traditions, he provided a very fertile ground. The next slide is my parents, because my parents, for example, my father, when he was choosing school, he gave me in a Birla school. There are quite a few schools in Birla. I have my Bengali teacher who has settled now in Bangalore here with us, very luckily. So, because my father said, which I heard later when I grew up, that I want my son to have fluency in English, but not in a convent school. So that was a conscious decision. So this is very important. And when I was a kid, when I used to ask my parents to tell me stories, they used to narrate stories of Puranas, from Samudra Manthana to Emperor Nero to Iliad. And so he actually exposed the entire world to me. So this charcha, this kind of environment is very needed. You have to expose your students, your younger generation, to Indic ideas. Next, previous one. So my father also used to make these paper mache dinosaurs for me, with me. So when I used to ask him to get me a toy, he would rather make one rather than buy me a toy. So that was also how he imbibed me to create my own things. This is one that he made. Of course, it has its limitations because he's not a huge artist. But the fact he could maintain his job, he was a doctor in health service, and then also do this, and that this was a great inspiration. Next slide. So when I grew up in my adolescence and towards the end of the school, there was a deep desire. I was connecting with the Adhyatmic Parampara of the land, and there was a desire to express my Adhyatmic belief. Next one, please. So these are the images are a little blurred. So I opened a YouTube channel in 2008 and 9, and I was posting some devotional music, and I wanted some pictures for that. It was as simple. So I was making very calendar artish paintings. This is Uma coming and meeting with Himalaya and Ma Menaka in a very quintessential Bengali garb. So the beginning of Durga Puja. So I was making these kind of very calendarish, amateurish paintings. Next one. So these are all parts of my endeavors just to make the videos in YouTube. Next one. Then we come to a little more sophisticated art, which I was painting. I was also doing Durga Puja. I was sculpting my clay pratima and doing my own puja. So on the backdrop, on the Prabhavali of Durga Pratima, there is a series of Devis and Devatas. So I was painting those. So that's when I started making it more refined, and I used to take some time to make it. Then finally, me and my father decided, we'll have a page to ourselves to show my art. And my father said it's Pauraniki of the Puranas, because the Puranas encapsulate history, the stories that needed to be told, and genealogy, and a lot of other things of our subcontinent. So that's why Pauraniki. This was my first not an exhibition, I would say, but just a fest kind of a thing in Bagh Bazaar area of Calcutta, showcasing traditional arts, traditional sweets. Somebody provided me a break. So you have Ramakrishna Mission Sadhu, the Pujari of Mayarbadi, where Sharada Ma used to live and passed away in his that place. So I was always blessed to have this spiritual connect. Next one. This is the Chalchitra, the Prabhavali paintings, which I used to originally do. Next one, please. This is how it looks when it's in the backdrop of Durga Pratima. The first exhibition came from a collector who is based in London. So I did not go there. He collected quite a few of my paintings, and he had an exhibit done for me in the Nehru Center of London. So everything just fell in place. I did not have to think anything about it. I actually passed out law. I did not know what to do, because I studied law just to avoid mathematics, not because I love law. So and that time I wanted to, I was deciding after passing out of law, getting into bar council, but I was not able to figure out what would I do. And then I thought maybe I'll start selling a few paintings to earn some few pocket money. So my first painting was 1,200 rupees. And when I named the price, the buyer thought it is 12,000 rupees. So he was shocked because it is 1,200, and I was shocked that my painting can get 12,000. So that's how the journey kind of began. Next one, please. So then slowly opportunities started coming. So people started, Telegraph and newspaper channels wanted me to conduct workshop for kids of Patachitra. So these things started happening. Next one. Then accolades started coming. Serious collectors started collecting. So this was a huge boost. This is extremely necessary for a self-taught artist like me, because every brush stroke is a self-process of learning. And if there is no support system, then you can never flourish. And also one thing I think is needed is a relative financial security of your parents. So many talents I have seen getting killed because there is no financial security of the parents. There are innumerable talents. So lucky that I am not one of them. So my parents can fend for themselves. So I could take up this alternative profession. So, next one. This is film star Prashanjit Chatterjee of Bengal, where I sculpted the Durga Pratima for his home. So these appreciations, these exposures helped a lot to take the flight. Next one. So now you can see how my style has also evolved. When I was doing, this is a Durga. So when I started doing one of my first paintings of Durga, it was very crude. It was not based so much on research. It was more of passion, and also done quickly because I'm getting 1,000 rupees. So let's admit that art has to be backed with financial support, otherwise, that's why the Rajas were the patrons of any kind of arts back then. So the next is when I'm becoming a little more sincere, not only because money is coming, but also because I am not happy with the earlier result. So trial and error is the best process of learning. There is no other process of learning than trial and error. You go on trying and eradicating your errors. So and then the final one you see in display here is something that is meticulously based in research. So every single element I have imbibed from the old Patachitras that are now preserved in museums. So you can clearly see the transition. Next one. So I was also sculpting pratimas. This is my own Durga Puja pratima. This is a pratima in clay. So next one, can you go to the next one? This is how my Durga pratima also evolved. On the left, you can see my first Durga pratima 25 years ago when I was in school. In the middle, you see from, I think from 2017 or 16, and this is the one that I did last year, 25. It is not my family puja, those two are. This is a puja and community puja. So this pratima would be around 14 feet, 18 feet high, so big one, in Ganga clay. So your art also evolves as you progress and changes. Yeah, next one. This is tiny details of the pratima, because the community pujas are more artistic. They are not meant to worship. I mean, they are worshipped, but they are not done with in scriptural guidelines. They're more artistic liberty. So this is a sari, the knee of Devi, where you have the Brahmanda. So you have the forest, the geese flying and the panthers, so just to give the cosmic appearance. So our entire sari was painted in that way. And this is the lion. Next one, please. This is the face being hand sculpted, and then this is from 2024. Now I'll come to the different styles that I paint in. Next one. This is Patachitra Revival. Patachitra Revival is the Patachitra, when you see there are two Patachitras. One is Odisha, the other is Bengal. So if you go back to the Patachitra that is preserved in the museums, they look pretty much the same. But due to the overwhelming European realistic influence in Bengal, Patachitra had suffered, or rather had evolved into a completely different genre from 1850s onwards. And whatever remains today has further degenerated. So nowadays it's looking very much like folk Madhubani or that kind of thing. It has lost its, the word Patachitra and the style is not matching. The word is very classical Sanskrit, and the style has become extremely, I mean, again, folk is a very tricky word, but very crude, let's say very unsophisticated. So my attempts was to revive Patachitra back to what it was at least 200 years back. Second one. This is Patachitra reinterpreted. So the forms is Patachitra, but the clouds and the background is a little modernity, so as to make it, contemporize it and give the feeling. This is Rama Ravana's war. Next one. This is Pala painting revival. So I was trying to, like you have seen in the gallery, so I was trying to revive the Pala art, which was a classical art. So one pain, as me as a North Indian, is that North India has not been able to preserve any of its classical paramparas. I mean, I think the only revival that has happened is the Somapura brothers and all of them, the Nagara Shaili of Mandir, which kind of started reviving with the construction of the Somnath temple, and also a little bit with the Swaminarayan Parampara. So they have kind of revived, because the Nagara Shaili was completely lost. So that is the only revival that has happened in North India, but nothing else. There is no painting. If you ask what was the painting tradition of Gujarat, of Rajasthan, you have the Kangra Rajput now, but what was that in the classical era? There is hardly any specimen. So Kangra is very Indo-Islamic style, you don't have the one that, let's say from the time of the Guptas. How did the North Indians paint during the time of the Guptas? It's all left to imagination. So luckily for Bengal, Pala is an unbroken tradition, because it was, if this looks, can you have the next one? This is Pala Nrsimha. And also the next one, this is Pala Durga. So if you look, this might appear a slight Buddhist or slightly Thangka-ish, because it was from the land of Bengal that this style traveled to Tibet. And if you were wondering where I know this bit of information, it's not a Bengal information. As I said, it is Tibetan chroniclers, Lama Taranath, writing in 15th century. He mentions that our tradition of art originates from the land of Bengal under two father and son duo called Vitapal and Dhiman. So it is Tibetan chroniclers who have chronicled. We could not because of the invasions. It's the same invasion, Bhaktiar Khilji, which destroyed and burnt Nalanda and completely decimated the land of Bengal. So this was, I think, the first time in 800 years that somebody has attempted to revive the Pala art. And I have certain, if Bhagavati wills, I have certain wish to consolidate it if I have the times and if the will of Lord allows that. As in the Shastra Pramana. So for that, there has to be a lot of research work that has to be done. Anyways, next one. Oh, yes. So the details is, you have this typical Deula style of the temple. It is very typical of Pala art. On the two sides is Ganesha and Kartikeya, and Mahishasura, of course, coming out. And then you have the 8 Ashtashakti, Ugra Chanda, Prachanda, Chandogra, Chanda, Chandanayika, all these Shaktis. Now, the thing is, we have lots of Pala sculptures. Every single month, some of it's being dug out from the earth, of almost every single month. But we don't have, sculptures don't have colors in them. So where from am I getting the colors? Luckily, something that Bengal tradition could maintain, is we have the Pala manuscripts. Because when the attacks were happening, so Atisha Dipamkara, Padmasambhava, all these professors of Nalanda, many of them were already teaching in Tibet. Many of them fled to Tibet with all the manuscripts and the deities. Like the Lasha Potala Palace of Dalai Lama has a Pala Vishnu Murti, still there. It's still there. So these connections, so most of these manuscripts which was painted and written in Bengal are preserved in the Nepal Royal Library and the Tibetan Library. So that's where you get the tiny images around 3 inches, 2 inches, the miniatures, considered one of the earliest first miniatures of India that remains. So there you get the color palette. But unfortunately, another sad thing is most of them are Buddhist. So we don't have too many Hindu manuscripts because Hindus couldn't flee. I mean, they might have, but they got lost. The Buddhist manuscripts exist. So with Durga's color, I took reference of the Durga's color that is followed today. So that is yellow and the lion is white. That is true for all over India. If you see the Tanjore lions also, they are in white. And Nepal lion or Burmese lions everywhere the subcontinent are white, and Mahishasura is green. So this is how, and the rest of the color palette, how I have reconstructed the shade, the tonality, that is from the Pala miniatures. So this will require maybe in a year or two, I would like to have a full-fledged demonstration of how the reconstruction was done based with all the Shastra Pramana. That would take some time more. Anyways, next one. Yeah, Narasimha was it's a standard Narasimha, but these flame motifs are very typical of Pala times, and yesterday I was so lucky to visit, and I was lucky to visit G.L. Bhatt's home, and when I was looking at his Ramlala, which he had sculpted for Ayodhya, so he said that these motifs I took from the Pala style, intentionally, because he wanted to amalgamate all of India together. So he was showing which place from where, which elements he has taken from which style of sculptures. Next one. Yeah. This is Shiva. You have 2 of his consorts, Ganga and Parvati on their respective mounts. Also Ganesha and Skanda, and the Shiva Ganas, 3 of the Ganas in the down, and Vidyadharas at the top. So now we'll go to the next one. So I have tried to also revive Pala in stone with help of stone sculptors. This is a clay sculpture that I did, and based on that they were trying to revive, but there are some imperfections. So because it's working, when you are working with somebody else, it requires more, it faces problems. Next one. This is my attempted revival at the late medieval style of stone sculpture. So by the late medieval time, it becomes very simple and all the abhushanas go away because Krishna becomes very close. So it is literally, he's completely naked. The late medieval murtis of Bengal is completely naked. Even the kaupina has to be attached. So that is actually enabling the worshipper. It is moving away from Shilpa Shastras for sure, but it is enabling the worshipper to treat the deity as your own child. So it is extreme humanification of the deity, which I believe, this is speculative, but there is a possibility that this was a contingency measure, kind of trying to bring the deities close to the Hindu psyche in the times of turmoil which was going on. This is a possibility. Next one. This is the Bengal School of Wash. Which is again a very Indic Swadeshi movement launched with the partition of Bengal in 1905. So Sister Nivedita, the Irish disciple of Swami Vivekananda, pursued Abanindranath Tagore and other artists to go study Ajanta art and develop an indigenous Indian style of expression of art. And they studied Ajanta and imbibed it with some Japanese technique, some Rajput Persian manuscripts and everything, and with her own style. The uniqueness was Abanindranath used to dip the whole painting in water and let the excess paint run off. That's why the Japanese wash doesn't do that. They just use fluid colors. But this is entire painting is dipped or at least water thrown on it to let the excess colors run off. So that's why you get this smoky appearance. Next one. These are all specimens of wash, Ramachandra. You have the Valmik to the corner, which is reminiscent of Valmiki. So as if, the whole Leela is being witnessed by Valmiki. So that way. And this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that same style. Yeah, he's considered in Eastern traditions, Odisha and Bengal, the incarnation of Sri Krishna. Next one. This is the Shantiniketan school. I have done a few works in this style. So this is Shantiniketan school. Also the result, it's identical almost with the Bengal school wash, where they take the Indic elements and make a contemporary out of that. So you can see I have used the Kalasha motif from the temple architecture and imbibed it in the Bengal context. So in Bengal, in case of Devi Ghat, in Devi Puja, sometimes the tradition is that you don't put the swastika or something, you put this inverted triangle, which is the symbol of the yoni. So the inverted triangle, Adhomukha Trikona. So that is a symbol of yoni. Sometimes they do it, it's a tradition. So that's why, and we offer everything in 5. So it's not mango leaves, it is 5 leaves. Mango, Odambar, Jambu, that way. And the, under the base of the Kalasha, it's also 5 grains, not just paddy. It will be paddy, til, mung beans, this way. So everything is in numbers of 5. So that is represented in the artistic style. So yeah, so see, this is how spirituality gets ingrained. So when I was a kid in Durga Puja, there is this kalasha sthapana done, but that kalasha gets covered in heaps of flowers and nobody clears it, because if you try to clear the flower, the kalasha might shake. So the clearance is done at the end of 5 days, when already the flowers have started to rot, kind of. So when as a kid, I used to ask, what is there underneath the pratima? So my grandfather used to say that there is the real Durga, the real prana. So I thought as a kid that there is another small, tiny Durga image, which I can't see. So, but what he was trying to mean is the real Durga as in the Kalasha. So then one day it so happened, I was a little kid, class 1 or class 2, running about. It was the day of Vijayadashami, the immersions would begin. So these elder brothers of the locality, he said, get the basket and quickly put all those flowers. Basically he was not trying to do the mucky job. He was getting this kid to do it. And I thought this is my chance to go and, see the little Durga, the real Durga. So I go and I start picking all those flowers already very gooey and mucky, and all that. But unfortunately, obviously, by that time, the actual mantra visarjana was done. So the purohit had already removed the kalasha. It was just a heap of flowers, rotting lotuses, all that. So when I removed all of that, I discovered, to my dismay, there is no little Durga. So, but later on, when times have elapsed, now I realize what that word meant. So basically the ghata is also the symbolic of our own body. That ghata and that real Durga, the search of real Durga continues. Now what is real Durga? The murti, the universe, the soul, the Paramatma, or how to trap that real Durga in our chitta is something that I think I'll take it forward to the next lives. My grandfather is no more, but these little joys remain with me. So the next one is just to give an exposure to how art has been degenerated. This was the Pala Nrsimha, and this you can see the late medieval Patachitra in reinterpreted style, but roughly about the same thing. So you can see how the transition, how lack of patronage can spell disaster for art. So at this juncture, I would, if I was to give this speech in Bengal, I would have scholars come up to me and point out to me that there have been sultans in Bengal who have patronized some of the indigenous poets to get Bhagavatam translated, Ramayana translated. These are there. It's not disputed. It's well recorded. So they give those examples to say that, patronization was there. But my response to that is, in order for a gharana to survive, you need mass demand. You cannot have court demand. Court demand is one demand. One Raja wants to know what's there in Bhagavatam, and he's getting a person and, getting it translated. So that will create a court culture that is extremely restrictive. But you need to have mass demand. Just for example, because we don't have mass demands, Indian art is dying. It's not getting patrons. So there is a direct relation between mass demand and a flourishing of the art. So this is very wrong to use this example and say that, arts was being patronized. If it were, then Pala art would have been thriving even today, as it does in the lands where invasions have not happened. For example, Nepal and Tibet. So the simple fact that it does not survive in Bengal is a reminder that political situation was not conducive to the indigenous arts of the land. Next one. This is a painting of Shashanka, the king of Gaura, the first king of Gaura, imaginative of course. So I have used those square kind of crowns you find in Gupta art, because that was contemporary of the Gupta period, just after the Guptas. So he was a very powerful king. He also was a very strong Shaivite king. Yeah, that's why you will have the Shaiva sadhus with their long jatas on the two sides. This is some of the illustrations I have done on Ramakrishna's life. These are all painted, not AI. So this was the first scene. Yeah, because many people say that this is AI. So this was Ramakrishna's first experience when he, in Dakshineshwara Kali temple, he had not received any initiation back then. He was just crying every day that, Ma, another day gone, will you not come and reveal yourself to me? So this way, through intense crying, one day he thought it's time to give up his life, and he took the sacrificial khadaga. Sacrifices used to happen back then, so once in a while, and he was about to slit his throat. And then at that moment, he had the divine revelation. But according to his own words, he says that I saw a sea of light come towards me and inundate me. So this again goes back to that question, who is Durga? Because he sees Kali, but that Kali he does not describe with a tongue, or it's a very abstract, it's a beautiful poetic imagery. So what I did, I made that waves of light, and in the center, I made the impression of the third eye. Because the third eye is there on mother's forehead, as well as third eye is the symbol of enlightenment. So that's why the third eye, and Ramakrishna is getting lost in the middle, and there is a light that is coming from his top head as he holds on the khadga trying to kill himself. So this was an imagination. Next one. This is Ramakrishna's first ecstasy. So he was walking along the Bengal countryside, and it was dark, rain clouds had gathered, and he sees these row of cranes flying by. He gets into a samadhi and falls. And he was eating puffed rice, tucked away in his dhoti. And that's why you can see in this hand some of the rices are, flowing away. And the bamboo groves where the breeze is blowing, you have a little kingfisher in the corner. So this is also an illustration. But back when I read it in the childhood, I could not understand that why would a person get, in samadhi at something that is not divine. But then, now you realize the universe is divine, but when I was a kid, it was not possible for me to understand. And his wiring with the universe was so fine that he did not even need a deity or a temple to get intoxicated. He just looked at the skies and he got into samadhi. So this is very profound. Next one. So will end my short talk here, not short. So this is Shodashi Puja, Ramakrishna's long period of sadhana through different paramparas, Shaiva, Shakta, Madhura Bhava, Dasya Bhava, ended with Shodashi Puja, where he worshipped his own wife, his consort Sharda Devi, as an expansion of Shodashi, and he surrendered his Japamala. Japamala surrendering, Japa Samarpan, is the end of the pujas. He gave his Japamala at the feet of Ma, as Sharda Devi. So in order to recreate that scene, but Ma and Ramakrishna may look a little younger because Ma was 18 and Ramakrishna would have been in his late 20s or no, maybe mid 30s. So that's why. And I have created this lotus of light, because lotus is a very integral symbol of Shodashi. But in these images, I try to infuse a certain amount of realism, because without a certain amount of realism, you don't get the, you get into the lila, the history. So it depends on what my target is. If I am making an image for puja, then it won't be realistic. But if I'm making an illustration, then it has to be a certain amount of realism has to be there. So that is how I try to bridge. But the eyes, the shape, and also one thing with Indian art is that a lot of it has to be expressed through postures, which is why Nritya comes so helpful. I try to teach them, to all my students, that you have to follow dance, but of course they don't understand, like all students, you know. I mean, they don't appreciate, they try to appreciate, but they can't grasp it, unfortunately. That why? Because, you know, Indian art does not have expressions. So if I have to show Veera Bhava, I have to put the chest forward, tilt the head backwards, the way of the legging. So everything comes from dance. So you can, what is spiritual ecstasy, what is it, that is interconnected. So that's why I chose this picture to show. And also this is my Samarpan to the feet of, because I strongly believe, not just for word of thing, because talent was not, I couldn't, there's nobody can imbibe talent. I have a friend, very talented, he said, sadhakas and artists are born, they are not made. So there is no way I could have practiced and got this. This is completely her Bhagavati's kripa. And the fact that I took birth in a middle class, very simple middle class family where I could practice, that's also Bhagavati's kripa. The fact that my parents allowed to do this nonsense, and they could control their fear, their anxiety of the son becoming a beggar, and still allow me to do this. That's also Bhagavati's Maya working on their minds. So everything, and also whatever happened, the fact that I'm here in front of you fine people, is also Bhagavati's kripa. So, and tomorrow if I fall off my bike while riding and break my finger, hand, then all of these adulations that I'm receiving will be gone in a flash. So it is literally, I strongly believe, and I try to repeat this to my mind, that it is Bhagavati's kripa. So to Bhagavati I dedicate my work. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. It's a halo, just a halo. Yeah, the divinity of Ramakrishna, that's why. Because it's a little blurred in these images, that's why it's not discernible.
Yeah. We'll come in turns, just a moment. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. No. Yeah, yes, please.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. My pranamas to you. Could you please tell us a little about your journey as a scholar? Because you have drawn from so many strands, from history, from mythology.
Well, see, I think if you read from childhood, you already, by the time you grow into an adult, you already somewhat become a sort of like scholar. And I used to read not novels, but mainly informative books. So I used to love astronomy, ornithology, Salim Ali books, as a kid, history also. So these have been my passions. A little bit of terracotta temples. So I think that created a level of, certain level, not very high, but a certain level of scholarly perspectives I have. And also I used to voraciously watch these Nat Geo, Discovery, Animal Planet. That was my main fodder. So when you watch these, you also develop the tendency of how they are presenting the facts, how they are presenting the pramana, how the things going on. So all of these things combined, I have not published any research paper yet or anything. Huh? Yes, through literature also, yeah. So, yes, poetry, of course, poetry. And I had this flair for classical, something classical. So I used to love Bankim Chandra more, because of the jhankar, of the Shabda jhankar, Sanskrit I do not know apart from uttering the mantras. I get a basic idea, but I have not learned it. We had 3 years of Sanskrit. But you know what? Unfortunately, there was nobody to teach us the relevance or importance of Sanskrit in a proper way. We had our Sanskrit teachers say that it's very important. We had our principal shout that this is your mother tongue, you have to read it. But nobody exposed it to us in a fun way. That is the problem with the society, So it has to be fun. It has to be. So even when we were having Upanayana Samskar, we were taught to do this, but nobody explained the meaning of Gayatri Mantra. Okay. So how do you expect a civilization to run when you are having a entire Upanayana Samskar without the kid even knowing what Gayatri Mantra means? And then for the next days, your mother would shout, come back from play, sit down and do Sandhya. But a person doesn't know what he's doing. So why will he feel interested to do Sandhya? So the approach has been very wrong, and it is the result of the Macaulayan education system which we are perpetrating for sure.
A wonderful presentation, Halley ji. The question which I wish to ask is the role of Abanindranath Tagore and Rabindranath Tagore in reviving Bangla art.
So, well, see, I'll go with Abanindranath first. Abanindranath was a pioneer because if you analyze the history of India, very few artists are given rise to an entire gharana. It's not possible. Gharana does not, arise in one day. It takes many centuries to rise. So, and when it gets, when it arises through one person, it's like a special blessing. So, Abanindranath was the first person who developed the wash. He imbibed from the Japanese technique, but Japanese wash did not involve the use of washing down the paper. It was just use of light, watery colors. But what he did, he painted and then poured water and let the paint run down. That was revolutionary to even think to do this, because we won't even be confident to pour water on our painting. So he was a pioneer, and his style was adopted by the students of Shantiniketan, and it spread as far as Pakistan and South India. So if you go to Jagmohan Palace Museum, you have almost 80 to 100 specimens of Bengal wash style, just adjacent to the Ravi Verma gallery. On this side, there's Ravi Verma oil on canvas, the other side, and all from Indian themes, Kurukshetra, this, that. So he was paramount. Rabindranath painting is also viewed in high esteem by the artists, but me being an Indian artist, I cannot understand that. Because it is all abstraction. I am not very, I don't understand. His literary work is different. It was a great work, although he dwelt largely on Shringara and a little bit of Adhyatma, Upanishadic, Vedantic ideas also. But his painting, as far as painting goes, Rabindranath, I don't understand. This is not just with Rabindranath. I don't understand many great scholars, many great artists, famous artists. I would not say that they are bad. Because it's because of my brain wiring. What I have figured out, somebody who is wired with Indian art, they can't go for abstraction. When they are painting, they will finish to the dot end of the corner of the paper. But they just can't do that. That language of leaving it, that doesn't come. With an abstract artist, they can't follow Indian art. They can't replicate the eye of a Buddha. So it is just that the brain wiring is very different. Like I try as I may, I can't paint a Van Gogh. Although Van Gogh's paintings are brilliant, but the way to conceive that with just dry strokes of color, I would not be able to do that. I would rather make a beautiful swan with all the whorls and thing. It's a different brain wiring. Yeah. Yeah. This is partly wash. Yeah, but a little slightly opaque also, because I was painting when I had not got the ideas of how to do wash. Then I was given some books. I was unable to find a teacher. I contacted Shantiniketan. If somebody can teach me wash, they said no. Sudhiranjan Mukherjee, a very beautiful Alpana artist from Bengal, Shantiniketan school. He said there is nobody who teaches wash right now in Shantiniketan. What an irony. So then I got some books and then I tried again trial and error. So this was before that. So it's not very perfect wash, but yes, a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. I just have to start by saying that I'm more in awe of you than
thank
I
you.
ever was about the comment. Okay, that's a dim light.
Thank
Okay,
you.
compared
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you so much.
The other thing is a very technical, I mean, a very practical question. It's just a very practical question.
Right.
Do you travel abroad, and what does it take for anyone abroad to get you to travel there and present yourself? And have you been everywhere in India?
Well, see, yes. So there have been attempts. There have been a director friend, a white director friend from Hollywood who was attempting a documentary on Vivekananda, wanted to take me to Los Angeles so that I can co-write the script with him with all authenticity of Bengal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, America would not give me visa because I don't earn much. I am not unmarried. I am unmarried. I am not old. So there is very slim chances of me returning back. The American visa is not going to happen. But if somebody gets an artist's visa with some thing, it is a possibility. I'm open to it.
But I would not suggest you ever go to America. I don't go there.
Yeah.
I am not allowed in America because I'm Canadian.
Okay.
So you're safe in Canada. Not that I have any wherewithal, but with this amount of artistry and imagination, I think this needs to be, to impress the Canadians.
I mean, all I can say is because see, if it travels, apart from my personal joy and personal recognition, it would also serve the purpose of Indian art. That is all I can say.
Exactly. So later on, if you have a moment, if you could just tell
Please,
me how to go.
I'll connect.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
a
you
lot
so
for
much.
your interest in the pitch. We'll have a last question by Sandeep ji.
I mean, this is a more generic thing, more of a concern, rather than extension of what Dr. Satyavathi had mentioned about the, how would I put it, in a very polite way, potentially harmful impact of AI. I mean, you can, with some amount of experimenting, I'm sure you can produce something similar using AI.
Yes.
So, but that is also a cause for concern because so-called AI art is also legally monetizable, which is happening. A lot of people are selling their art doing AI. So, I'd like your thoughts on that.
So I think, see, there are different classes of people who buy art. First is proper art connoisseurs who understand art. Then there are the rich people who do not understand, they go by the names. That's true, that's hard true. Then, not all rich people, many do understand art. Maybe I'm generalizing. So then there is some people who just go by the beauty. They are not very rich, they have some money, they are middle class people, but they are enamored by a beauty of a piece they wanted. Some want for religious purposes. So these two later class may not buy because they are getting AI. Because when you can create a beautiful Shiva Vivaha scene in AI, why spend 30,000, 50,000 rupees? So that class will leave. But those who are real connoisseurs and those who do not understand, but they have money, they want the brand, they will continue to buy art. This is what I feel. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for your very insightful lecture presentation, Halley ji. What's very nice about Halley ji is he's always bubbling with enthusiasm to share anything about India, anything about art, about knowledge, etc. That is something which is very infectious. At any time of the day, he is bubbling with the joy and enthusiasm. Thanks a lot, Halley ji. Now we have an other self-taught artist, self-made scholar and poet, Šatāvadhānī, Dr. R. Ganesh. May I request him to render his observations on the art of Sri Halley Goswami.
Om Tat Sat. Good evening. I think the painter, the artist himself, has given a wonderful, authentic description of his art. Kautilya, in his Arthashastra, says, it is better to write a commentary on one's own work because it will be authentic. Sometimes it is said that the author or the artist should not reveal anything about his art or her art. And in Sanskrit tradition, we have Magha, a poet from Gujarat who existed before 1300 years or so. He wrote, it seems, a commentary on his own epic poem Shishupālavadam, and unfortunately that work is not available. And later we have doyens like Appai Dikshita from South India, from Tamil Nadu. Appai Dikshita wrote commentary to his own scholarly and creative writings as well. Several of his works are decorated with his own wonderful commentary. In that way, this is very welcoming thing, the artist giving his version. Of course, there are multi-layered interpretations and observations, they are always possible. In spite of that, we need it. And what arresting is, he told some revealing truths even while casual question-answer session. He told one of the seminal features of Indian art, Indian artists would not live in an abrupt way, left for the imagination of the connoisseur, imagination within quotes. Here comes the theory of Dhvani, and I am so proud that India, for the first time, it revealed the theory of suggestion, which is applicable to all forms of art. Unfortunately, as Indian Vedanta or Indian art or Indian Tantra or Indian dance or music or whatsoever it has been, if at all it were to be understood, in a very, very narrow sense it has been understood. And so is the great text of Anandavardhana, and I think it has been included in the intangible intangible traditions by Smithsonians as well. Dhvanyaloka and Lochana, Anandavardhana says, Dhvani is not vagueness. Dhvani is not confusion. Any sort of tricky presentation, which is something like a riddle, cannot be artistic suggestion. Dhvani is something, and Kala Dhvani or Kavya Dhvani is something. Anybody can get suggestion from anything. But that is the Laukika suggestion. But Kalatmaka suggestion means artistic suggestion is that it should be revealing and yet unrevealing. Artho giram apihita pitascha kaschit saubhagyameti. This Sandhya, he was mentioning about Sandhya while describing about his art in the art gallery. It is the Vyakta and Avyakta. It is the Khandopalabdhi, as we call in the Dharma Sutras and even in the Grahi Sutras. The sun's orb has not yet completely rose, and yet it is visible. And that junction of seen and unseen, that is explicit and implicit, we have the meditative power. And so Indian art is essentially contemplative and introspective in nature. At the same time, it is exuberant and enchanting. To think these two are opposed to each other is our limitation. Grandeur and serenity cannot exist together is something, a misnomer, because the Western world, or the modern world for that matter, because the Western world is leading the so-called modern world, are supposed to lead, or it is thinking, it is in its own illusion that I am leading the whole world. And there, these things are always seen in things which are logarithms with each other, opposed to each other. But our tradition is not so. It is samanvaya. It's not just anvaya. It's not application. It is samanvaya. Fantastic, complete and holistic anvaya application that we see in these forms of arts. And he said so many things about Indian art tradition. Patronize. You have to do that. At the same time, it has to become a tradition. It has to become a gharana. He said so well. Because in our Indian tradition, it should follow Guru Shishya Parampara, and every Shishya should have his or her own originality as well. Anandavardhana, again going to Dhvanyaloka, he in the last chapter, in the 4th chapter, he says, imitation cannot be great art. And yet there is a lot of imitation in the world. And he gives several degrees of imitation. There, one is mirror reflection. It is the lowest form of imitation. Because in the mirror, what is reflected can change. If some object is kept, the earlier imitation is gone. So the thing which is going to get reflected will remain, but the thing that is the reflection will change. It will wane away. But if it is a copy, it remains. Though it is a copy, it remains. If it is a twin brother or twin sister, it will have its own soul. So these three levels of imitation Anandavardhana speaks of. Our tradition says the third one is better imitation. Because it has, we know even identical twins have their own independent way of growth, their own independent way of thinking, behavior. Though they are born identical, they will not grow identical, they will not realize identical. This is how our art theory has grown. And unfortunately, nowadays, such things are not even spoken of with respect to kavya, with respect to literature, let alone to all forms of arts. Because we know Bharata's Natya Shastra is a universal treatise meant for all forms of arts. Not just of Indian art, any art. But it has been restricted so much, as you are saying, all these vibrant features, all these imaginary features, and lot of beauty that was developed earlier, gradually it faded down and rigidity cropped up. We know that the same tradition, how it got depleted and dilapidated. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Vaivasvata means son of Surya. First he realized this by the help of Surya, and Sakshat Krishna himself, he revealed it. Kalena mahata nashto yoga parantapa. By time it got lost. It will happen like that. This unbroken tradition is very much essential in practical art forms. Literature can somehow survive. But music, it is the most abstract. In those days, no recordings were possible. We are forever lost. What is the music of Bharata, and what is the music of Matanga, and what is the music of Parshvadeva, and what is the music of Sharangadeva? All these things are lost. Many times I used to trouble Dr. Satyavathi. Please tell me about some ancient music. Tell me about medieval music, she says. Nothing remains. Only after the Vijayanagar period we are getting that too in bits and pieces we are getting. What can be sure of that is about the Trimurtis. And there are also some here and there we can match from Tansen and Vrindavan Haridasa Swami onwards. That's so. These are certain problems with such an abstract art like music, where form is content and content is form. This Advaita is seen throughout, starting from the beginning to the end. In the case of dance, it is similar. Movement cannot be registered anywhere. Nowadays we have videograph, everything is possible. But in those days it was not possible. I remember always Dr. Padma Subramaniam, who reconstructed movement from books and sculptures. Sculptures are static. Books are abstract. And practice is manifolded and confusing. Every school of dance will proclaim that this is the best vratana uttamottamam. As we know from our vrata kathas, this is the best vrata. Starting from the Vinayaka vrata to Ananta Padmanabha vrata, everything say. Our commodity is the best and our style is the purest one. How to know? In the Mahabharata Yaksha Prashna it is said, Veda anantaha smritayopi bhinnaha naikorashir yasya matam pramanam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yena gatasya panthaha. Scriptures are many and the explanations are too many. And the people who proclaim these things and who reveal these things, they also don't agree with each other. Kanado is sarvajna, Gautamo netika prama. If Kanada is knowing everything, how can Gautama is unaware of that? If Gautama is knowing completely, and how come he is finding fault of Kanada, and how come they are not agreeing with each other? This is how the problems cropped up. And that's why Dharma and the secret of Dharma is in the deep darkness of the caves. It is seated in the deepest darkness of the caves. What to do? Mahajano yena gatassa panta. Mahajanas, all the noble people or the masses in which direction go, that we have to take. It is, of course, inevitable, the last resort. But there we should have the people who are going to lead, they should have honesty. This is what lacking in the post-independent Indian scenario. We are lacking with such authentic people of honesty and integrity. If not, Arjuna so clearly could get tadekam vadanishitya yena shreyoham apnuyam. Dharma samudha chetaha. I am unable to understand what is right and what is wrong. I am unable to make up a decision. Please tell me. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapandam. Here I am. Great scholar. By our fortune, still he is in flesh and blood. Dr. Venkatachal Shastri of 93 or 94 years in Mysore, still active and growing strong by mind and intellect. He says, I need things which are absolutely clear. That's why Parichedohi Pandityam, clarity and demarcation is the hallmark of learning. That's why if you go to all these 14 worlds above or below, this is the meaning of this verse. This much of authenticity and surety, that's what I need. He says that, Parichedohi Pandityam. And there Mahajana should be that, not by quantity, by quality. And unfortunately, democracy, however good and however need of the hour, is enemy of quality, virtue, specialization, and all that good. Because if you start rationalizing things and rationing things in the name of equality, in the name of dignity, nothing remains. The nature itself says there is difference, but not dichotomy. But we have not understood it. And this is the problem. There, rasa comes to our help. Unfortunately, this word has not been uttered since many decades by our artists. Even in the world of literature also it has been shunned. I know so well. In Karnataka, why the Navya literary movement, it emerged. There, criticism based on rasa was termed as rasa vimarshe in a condescending manner. Rasa vimarshe means patching up everything, hushing up everything, pushing everything under the carpet and saying goody good things. Indochini bhai bhai, something like that. Ramaya swasti and Ravanaya swasti. No mark of intellectuality, no mark of honesty, and no mark of clarity, and no mark of criticality is termed as rasa vimarsha. Alas, how come it is so? If you look into the texts of Anandavardhana, Abhinavagupta, Kuntaka, and many such stalwarts, in front of them, all the Western stalwarts, they are pygmies, I should say so, without any sort of superiority complex. Because our systems, they are very clear. It has been told by the Western savants themselves. One person who was a great scholar in Buddhism and literary criticism from Canada, A.K. Warder, he says, in Indian tradition, literary criticism was developed as a pure science. In West, it is something hallucination. What I feel. Anyone can feel anything. But for our feelings, we should have some rule and rationale. Reproducibility is the nature of science. And this is how rasa was pushed to backseats. Why? It was exterminated. When that happened, we have to rediscover rasa. And rasa cannot exist without dhvani, because rasa is an experience and no experience can be directly communicated. Only information can be communicated, and rasa can only be suggested, and there we have dhvani. And dhvani can be realized only when we have a beautiful structure. And there comes vakrata. In the name of abstraction, in the name of modernity, in the name of originality, in the name of going against tradition or a constructive revolt against the jaded system, if we present anything and everything, then more than the original creator, the commentator should win the prize. As now, AA should win the prizes and not the person who is working behind that. And so vakrata means beautiful structure is very important. As we know, even from the time of Periclean Greece, we have that. beautiful soul in a healthy body, handsome body containing a potential soul. This is what even the classical tradition of the West had. That's why if we look into the annals of Western aesthetics, starting from Plato and his student, illustrious student Aristotle, and then Longinus and Horace, all these people have beautifully told about these principles in different terms, but here and there they are not clear. And from our side, we can make it more clear. What I honestly feel is, we Indians, from our perspective of rasa, dhvani, vakrata, auchitya and such concepts, make the Western art much more appreciable, much more valid and much more respectable and much more rewarding. Any art for that matter, not even just West, anything can be done. But our people, even the competent people, become so apologetic, evasive, because kalaya tasmai namaha. Very few people who stand against the rough weather, and Halley Goswami is one such person who has stood against the rough weather. And in him, he has understood the feel of all the sects and has transcended sectarian mindset. And that's why in his art, Shyama, Gauri or Kali or Chamunda or Chandi is no different from Shama, Krishna, Rama. And these are all the expressions, including Shiva. And that's so this way of integrating divinity has happened in his art. And the divinity is giving all sorts of rasas. He is revealing all sorts of rasas. Starting from Shringara, the Chamunda, which he painted during the time of COVID. It is full of Bibhatsa, Bhayanaka, Raudra, all such Viddha rasas, as we say, strong rasas, we could say that. The tender and delicate rasas like Shringara can as well be felt by his vast technique paintings, whether it is Sri Rama or Sri Krishna or Gauranga Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or even the Saraswati. In all these paintings, we see Shringara in an elevated manner, because Shringara is one rasa which can be spoilt very easily. Even one wrong stroke will kill the rasa. There, the Shringara is Shringam Gacchati, Shringam Richati, that will take us to an elevated state is being felt there. And so using these terms itself, we can do more justice to Halley Goswami's work. And I think we Indians, first we should understand both the Lakshyas and Lakshanas and forge the samanvaya between Lakshya and Lakshana, because anywhere, whether in life or art or anywhere, we should not have dichotomy between theory and practice. It is nothing but hypocrisy. It's ignorance if this person is not competent. In spite of competence, if he is not doing, then it is hypocrisy. Either or. No other third way. Tritiya pantha na vidyate. When that is the case, we should realize our roots, and they are still stronger. And we South Indians, fortunately, as Arjun in the beginning itself, he showed how from the times of Vijayanagar we have such an unbroken tradition, and we revisited and remodeled everything and recharged, revitalized everything. And fortunately, such traditions are still working well. And that's why we have a wonderful music system of 72 Melakartas, and then that of Padma Subramanian's research, which has shown how Natya Shastra is. And I have seen in North India, barring few places, classical poetry, the diction of classical poetry is missing. In Hindi itself, by Ritikala, it became a museum piece. All the later critics, they contribute more and more towards ridiculing Riti Kavya in the name of other movements. In Telugu, for that matter, in Tamil, in Malayalam, and even in Maharashtra, we have the tradition of classical versification and all. And that's why this movement, what I should tell, the movement single-handedly Goswamiji is doing, you should include, while analyzing at least, though not for complete practice, which is impossible by one human being, include all forms of arts and try to know how they are interconnected and how they are at one stroke destroyed or went to the verge of destruction, were pushed to the corner almost to the end of destruction. So this way, we need not be alarmist and we need not cry for recognition, or we are not even playing the card of victimhood. But only thing is the reality is being spoken, and we are so confident and courageous and talented that we are capable of recreating and then reworking the earlier master's writings and master's artistic tradition, and the baton will be carried forever, progressive manner. Thank you.
It's very meaningful that Šatāvadhānī, Dr. R. Ganesh, who has recreated and rejuvenated the art of Avadhana, says these very meaningful words on the art of Sri Halley Goswami. So now the artist has spoken and the scholar, connoisseur, poet has spoken. I think the circle will be complete if a pattern speaks. Dharmasya moolam arthaha, it is said. Among the various hats that Sri R.G. Singh, Jnaneshwar Singh wears, he's a researcher, he's a passionate artist, a gamer, etc. He has patronized numerous artists over the last 3 or 4 decades. I would like to invite Sri R.G. Singh from the Ramsons Kala Pratishtana to speak a few words on the occasion.
Hello, namaskara. To do justice to Halley Goswami, I'm going to speak in English. Halley Goswami belongs to the long list of revivalists. Nam deshdal tumba jana idare. We have a lot of revivalists. Nange takshanakke whom I recall is with whom I have worked. GLN Simha is one. Raghupati Bhatt is another person who revived the Ganjifa school. Dr. Vijay Hagargundgi is the third person who revived the 100-year-old lost tradition of the Surpur paintings. We have many more artists who are working in the direction. We have an artist from Tamil Nadu, and he has revived the Chitrakati style. And then we have one Vibhin Das who has revived the Nayak style of painting. So he belongs to that school of revivalists. One, Dr. Šatāvadhānī Ganeshwar ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, alarmist ಆಗಬಾರದು ಅಂತ. I agree with it 100%, because in the last 35 years that I have been working with artists, craftsmen and painters, in every generation, somebody is born like Halley Goswami with those old, who has that old knowledge that is perhaps from an earlier life. And they are the persons who will be the flag bearers of the tradition. Your work enide, that will be the template for future. I can give you umpteen examples. One person is one silversmith and a goldsmith, Dakshinamurti anta. He passed away at a very young age of 40 in COVID. His mother got COVID. Serving the mother, this young chap passed away. He was a revivalist who, I don't know from where he learned it. He had revived the Hoysala style of silversmithy. And I knew his father, his uncle, his uncle andre Dodappanu gottittu, Mavanu gottittu. And he was somebody who surpassed all of them. to give you an example, he was so talented. ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಅರಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಸಿಂಹಾಸನ he could recreate it. He had such talent. And such people are born again and again. And I have seen it in several places in India. People who are born with that innate talent. It is like, dancers, they would, or musicians who would perform and they are equated to Shantala or they are equated to Tansen. So we have artists who can be equated to this Jakana or perhaps somebody who is mentioned in the older texts. Malloja, the sculptors of the Belur and Halley. So Halley was also telling that you require patronage and not all rich people will be patrons. That is not correct. The finest of the Indian traditional art lies in the vaults of the richest Indians. I've been private to look at it because I myself, I'm a collector. So, it requires, courage to support. And it also requires a big heart to support. Halley, in course of his gallery talk, told us that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the yogic vision. That is true with his artworks also. He's got that yogic vision. Otherwise, it is not possible. He says, I am a self-taught artist. How does it come? It will not come unless this is something from his past life. It is not possible. This is my firm belief, whether you agree with it or not. So it comes from, some essence of the earlier life. When this Daksha passed away at the age of 40, his uncle, that is Dodappa, was aged 84. I asked him, I went to the condolence meet. I asked his Dodappa, ತೀರೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರು ಎಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಷ್ಟ is what I told in the speech. ಅವರು ವಾಪಸ್ when he wanted to speak, the uncle Dodappa said, in that short working life of 20 years, from the age of 20 to 40, he did what someone should have done for about 60 to 70 years of his life. He finished it in those 20 years. So this 40 years was perhaps leftover from his earlier life, and he has finished this. That is what his Dodappa told. Of course, his Dodappa is also not there. He also passed away at the ripe age of 88. So, one good thing about Halley Goswami is that he is teaching what has manifested by God's grace. Because some of the best artists, some of the best dancers, some of the best musicians are not good teachers. They are absolutely, poor as far as teaching is concerned. Example is Jailan Simha. He doesn't want to be contaminated with anybody's thoughts or with anybody's presence. It is so difficult to deal with him. He says, I don't want to be contaminated by anybody's thoughts. And the best thing is, he will not speak with anybody. Can somebody survive like that? He has survived like that for 90 years. If somebody comes to his house and one, ಸಂಗೀತದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಅಪಸ್ವರ, ಮಾತಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು something goes wrong, he will just go to his bed, he will pull the rug and tell, I'm going to sleep. But he is working with children where he is teaching. And that is the best thing, because I have seen Vijay is a very difficult teacher. Vijay Hagargundi is very difficult. Very difficult to learn under him. And you should ask him for 5 years minimum, beg to him for 5 years, please teach me. And only then he is sure that this guy or girl wants to learn. So, unlike those other, gentlemen, he is made of a different stuff. If I can borrow from what our respected Satyavathi told, Ma'am Satyavathi told, that Brahma threw, and one of the diamonds is sitting next to her. We have these gems. Okay, if he's equated to a diamond, the others are these gems. Halley Goswami, Vijay Hagargundi, Raghupati Bhatt, who dot the land and make our life more beautiful. Let more such things come, and let more such people, brighten this land of ours. And Halley Goswami said that in Bengal, it's very difficult. It is difficult everywhere, not only in Bengal. You might have felt it because of the political atmosphere. The undercurrent is there everywhere. In spite of it, such things do happen. Such artists do thrive. Such patrons do patronize. And there are people, laymen or connoisseurs, who enjoy all such beautiful things. Like, I find a lot of parallels between Halley Goswami and Jailan Simha. He says, like he said, it's a Bhagwati Anugraha. Simha also says, yaar madiddu andre amma ಮಾಡಿಸಿದ್ಲು. How did you get this idea? Amma ಹೇಳಿದ್ಲು. So, we rarely come across such people, and they are the artists or, the teachers whose templates will be remembered for generations to come. And we are thankful that there is this artist from Bengal illuminating our thoughts and, giving us this pleasure of weaving such beautiful things. Thank you, Halley Goswami, and thank you to the audience for this patient hearing.
Thanks a ton for those very insightful words, Shri Gnaneshwar Singh ji, and for making your time and coming all the way from Mysore along with Shri H.S. Dharmendra, who is fondly called Raghu. Thanks a lot to you both and your team who has come from Mysore for the inauguration. Please do come tomorrow and day after, hoping to see you here. Okay, before we conclude today's proceedings, I would like to call upon Shri Praveen Shankara of Prana Stories to receive a small token of our gratitude for all the creatives and the promo material that you have done. Is Anaga Narayan here in the audience? Or is Shri Chetan Murthy here? Chetan Murthy is the one who designed the booklet. If you're here, please do come. On behalf of Suraj and yourself, on behalf of Prana Stories, please do receive it, Shri Praveen Shankara. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Praveen sir. So very quickly about a few announcements. So the gallery is going to be open from 10 a.m. tomorrow until 7 p.m. in the evening. The original paintings and the prints which are in display there are also available for sale. So people who want to book for purchase on a first-come, first-served basis, you may book the prints and the paintings which are on display. Srimati Srivalli Bhatt, who is outside, she has the rate chart and you may book it. And on March 1st, which is the last day of the gallery, once the gallery closes at 7 p.m., the prints and the originals will be made available. Secondly, there is this booklet which is a representative sample of the various techniques and the various themes, the versatility of Halley Goswami. To reflect that, there is this booklet which has been made in association with the art gallery. The Preksha Pratishtana, the Praharsha publications have come together in making this booklet. Our gratitude to them. I'm a part of both the organizations anyway, so it's a gratitude to my parent organizations in a way. And tomorrow we are, of course, the gallery is going to be open, and we are going to be there. So there have been some schools who have come forward saying that they'll bring their children for a gallery walk with the artists. So please do come forward. If there are dance schools, music schools, or if you want to bring a group of your friends, please do get in touch with me and or with Halley ji, and we'll be available here to take you through a tour. It's extremely important for children, the younger generation, to witness this kind of art. So if you know, if your children, whatever schools your children are going to, please educate them and try to bring them in large numbers. Tomorrow evening, we are going to have a talk by Halley ji on the evolution of Bengal art from the ancient period, from the times of the Sindhu-Saraswati civilization to the modern day, the renaissance of Amindranath Tagore, Nandalal Bose, and the collapse that it has undergone today. So the evolution and the decline and the resurgence. So there's going to be a talk. And there's another very, very interesting presentation in collaboration with the Abhinava Dance Company, who have very graciously accepted our invitation and who have collaborated for this. Srimati Nirupama Rajendra and Sri Rajendra, SNA awardees. They are going to be performing based on the themes of the paintings which Halley Goswami ji has done. So it is meant to show the interconnectedness of classical forms of art, dance, music, literature, painting, and sculpture, how they are interconnected in the Indian tradition. It's going to be a first of its kind event. Please do come and attend the event and also Halley ji's lecture. Day after tomorrow, we are going to have another lecture by Sri Halley Goswami on Durga Mahasnan. It's a beautiful painting which he also took us through today in the gallery walk. But even more in detail, you will see it there. In fact, the painting represents what he actually performs at the household level as a ritual, as a yearly ritual. He performs that in the Durgotsava that has been made into a painting with a lot of scriptural background and lot of artistry and new kinds of iconification that he has come up with, again into the classical mold. So he's going to speak about that day after tomorrow. It is also going to be followed by a panel discussion involving Dr. Aarti VB and Sri Sandeep Balakrishna about the importance and the contribution of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara, the Ramakrishna mission, and the Shakti worship in holding together the Sanatanic roots of the Bengal region. I humbly invite you all, kindly make your presence and let people know also of the kind of events that are going on here. The gallery will be open until March 1st, that is Sunday, until 7 p.m. on March 1st. Thanks a lot for joining here. On behalf of all the three organizing institutions, the Param Foundation, the Indian Institute of World Culture, and the Mythic Society, my humble gratitude to you all. Thank you.